There you are. That is Sunshine on Leith, opening on Friday, and I am so pleased to introduce two amazing examples of British talent, frankly, onto the stage. Please welcome the director of the movie, Mr. Dexter Fletcher, and acclaimed actress from the movie, Miss Jane Horrocks. How are you, Jane?
I'm good. How are you?
Lovely to see you.
Oh, it feels very weird.
Well, no, here we are on the stage. How are you, Dexter?
Good. Everybody is shopping. Isn't that nice? Hello, everybody.
Dexter, let's start with you. You are the man responsible for bringing this to the big screen, director of Sunshine on Leith.
That's right.
When did this all begin for you? I know that obviously this was an incredibly successful musical in 2007.
Yeah,
We're now in 2013.
Right. Yeah.
When did you first get involved with Sunshine on Leith?
I first got involved in 2013, are we now? That's good. Yeah, I think by 2011 would be reasonable. In about May 2011, April, May, I first got the script. And it was the first screenplay of the stage show. And I started working with the writer on it, Stephen Greenhorn, then. He'd written the stage show, that's where this material was developed from. So about, whatever that is, 18, 20 months ago, something like that. Yeah.
And obviously this is a narrative using the music of Charlie and Craig, the Proclaimers.
Yes.
One of the Britain's finest pop twins and exports. And here we have this incredible catalogue from there. And I've got to ask you, Dex, have you always been a Proclaimers fan?
Fan's a strong word, because fan is an abbreviation of fanatic, as far as I understand it. So to say I was a Proclaimers fanatic would be overstating it somewhat. I knew the Proclaimers back catalogue, some of it, but I knew 500 Miles, and I knew Letter to America and On My Way, stuff like that. But I wasn't a fan particularly, but I suppose I could count myself as that now. I mean, I certainly know the songs well and love them and have a great affection for them. But I just want to answer your first question. I actually got involved in May 2012. So actually, that's the 18 months I'm talking about, 20 months. It's actually much quicker than 2000.
Was it an initial yes? Did you fall in love with this story and this idea immediately, or did you take some persuading?
I didn't take. I mean, I read it, and I read the reviews of the show, and I read the script, and obviously there's these great songs involved. And because I didn't know all the songs, it meant I get to read the lyrics of them first of all and see how they pertain to the characters and how that comes out. And then obviously there's certain criteria that you need to make it be something that you think can really fly and work well. And Jane and Peter Mullen are very integral to that. They were the first people that we wanted to get on board in terms of cast, and so we had this anxious sort of 48 hours where we waited to see how they responded to the material once we went out to their agents and did it all very officially. Mm-hmm. I should have just phoned up Jane and said, Jane, you're doing it. But no, we had to do it very officially.
Jane, let's talk more about your character. You play Jean,
Yes.
Let's get this straight away. Jane's performance is nothing short of spectacular in this film. It's fantastic. It really is.
It really is.
Tell us more about Jean, and tell us more about the story of Sunshine on Leith, Jane.
Well, the story is, it starts with two soldiers from Afghanistan, coming back from Afghanistan and rebuilding their lives. Something horrible happens to one of their friends, and they decide to stop being soldiers. And it's kind of them rebuilding where they left off, basically, in their hometown of Leith. And I play one of their mothers, and Peter Mullen plays the father, and I mean they all sort of integrate. It's really about three couples, to be honest, and they're falling in and out of love.
Yeah, it's a film about family and about love, and how sometimes those two things don't always run smoothly, and that's what's lovely about it. I mean, I think if you look at the Proclaimers songs, that's what they do very cleverly. They're very good storytellers with their songs and their music. And that's why the script and the story is very nicely crafted around these three couples, and the songs play into all of their stories. So it's really essentially a story about home and family.
Yeah. Going back to the songs, Dexter and Jane, great material, as you say, to work with, because each song is a story. They really are great storytellers. And maybe now they're going to get a bit more credit than they've had before for their songwriting and their storytelling.
Well, you hope that it will open them up to a new audience, an unlikely, unexpected audience. I think they're really great sort of folk, country and western type songs because the storytelling is so good. And like Dexter said, they're perfect to build a musical around because, they tell a story within the song so vividly. And each song is very, very different within the film. I think Dexter's done a superb job at filming the songs because they are very, very individual, each song. They don't kind of all merge into one. You don't think, I can't remember that one. What was that one? They are very, very unique in their setting and what they're about.
We're going to see a scene from the film next, but Dexter, maybe tell us more about the cast. There's some fine young British talent in this film. Yep. Tell me how you found them and why you picked them.
It was the sort of standard casting process. Once we got Jane and Peter, who are the sort of nucleus of the family, really, the mum and dad, it was then about finding Davy and Liz, their children, and then their extended girlfriend and boyfriend either side of them. And so it's a sort of mix and match process, but it's a really good opportunity because when you've got people like Peter and Jane, it means that you can, for the younger characters, go, okay, let's find the undiscovered great talents that are out there. And I think we had George Mackay here yesterday talking about another film that he's coming out on Friday as well. He's such a talent. He's got 3 films coming out on one day, which I think has got to be a record. That
is quite something.
Yeah, it's quite something.
We only care about Sunshine on Leith, obviously.
We do only care. I know. I shouldn't talk about any of Sunshine on Leith.
Right.
Is the best one that he's in. But having said that, it meant that I had a really good opportunity to find these young, interesting talent, and we went for acting first, and we knew that they were already experienced and capable actors, and they brought them on and said, right, can you sing? Let's have a song out of you. And we asked them to sing Sunshine on Leith, I think was what we got them to sing. Yeah, that's what everyone sang in their audition, sang Sunshine on Leith, yeah.
Here's a scene then, featuring George Mackay and Kevin Guthrie and some of the other members of the cast who are in a bar. Mm-hmm. They're in the bar. And it's sort of it's a fun night.
It's their
Drinks
first
are flowing.
night. Yes, their first night home.
Yeah.
Once they've got home from Afghanistan, they're out with their friends and they see the girls, and it's that great moment where young people stare across a crowded bar and fall in love. Hopefully.
Let's have a look.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a look from Sunshine on Leith. There you are, a scene from Sunshine on Leith, everybody. Dexter, that had to be a fun one to film. Tell me that was a good one.
It's a tough one to film. I mean, it was fun, yeah, because it was this great moment in the boozer where everybody starts singing, and it goes on that, and everyone kind of joins in, and there's a nice little poignant moment in the middle of it. But yeah, I mean, what's tricky about it is that we were in a space that wasn't much wider than this, really. It was like a corridor, and we have to film it from every different angle. So actually it looks very random and everyone's just sort of jumping around by the end of it, but it had to be very well choreographed so that it all edits together and we can actually make it work together as a song individually on its own. And so that, takes a lot of time, but also you've got to keep people's energy up and keep the fun in it, because it's a great night down the boozer where everyone's drinking, but they're not really drinking, but they have to be drunk, but they're not really drunk, and then there's all the difficult things that play into it. But yeah, it's a great song, and we leave it. I play it again at the end of the film as well because it's a lovely note to go out on.
I was humming it I'm still humming it. I've seen it 2 months ago. It's fantastic.
Good.
Jay, cinema has an incredible relationship, obviously, with musical theatre, with musicals. There have been, and in the last 12 months, obviously, something like Les Mis has been revered by BAFTA, by Oscar, by the Academy in the States and more. You have surely got to be a huge fan of musicals and musicals on the big screen.
Not really, no. No, I mean, I started off loving The Sound of Music. That's the one that I really liked. But I then didn't go on to, sort of watch musicals incessantly. I think there was a long gap between The Sound of Music to Grease. And the rest is kind of murky. But no, I'm not a massive musical lover. But what appealed to me about this was that it was a contemporary musical, and that it was set in a very real world, and I thought it lent itself really well for film.
But having said that, Jane has done some fantastic musicals on stage, in the past. Cabaret is quite...
Yes, which is why I presumed you might be, so I was wrong.
I've only been in 2 musicals on stage, which is Cabaret and Annie Get Your Gun, but they were kind of, those parts were sort of suited to me. I mean, somebody like Antonia Thomas, who's in this film, is a proper trained singer, which I'm not. I mean, I'm not trained, and I think you really have to have that to do musicals properly.
Sorry, do you not count Little Voice as a musical though?
Well, I think it's more of a
interesting,
film
isn't
with
it?
music, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting.
But
I
yes,
saw you on
fantastic
stage
film,
doing that
that,
at the Aldwych.
oh, did you?
Yeah, it was great. Sorry,
No, it's all right, it's all right.
Yeah, it was great.
You were great, mate.
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
Filming in Scotland, Jane. You must
It's
have,
cold.
Yeah. Is it cold? Was it cold?
It is cold.
It's
Yeah,
cold,
it was
yeah.
cold.
It's cold.
Yeah,
It's north.
yeah.
If you go from north from here, you'll get there. It's cold.
Yeah.
All the exteriors in Edinburgh and a lot of the interiors, I'm right in saying, Dexter, in Glasgow.
A lot of the interiors are Glasgow. Some of the exteriors are Glasgow. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the producer's choices, had how to balance out what money they've got in order to get this film realised. And, you know, sometimes they say, OK, well, actually, if we base everyone in Glasgow, where a lot of people are based anyway, we don't have to travel everybody. And there's all these considerations to take into account. And so it worked out. We were in Scotland, but we sort of fudged the line between Glasgow and Edinburgh, and some, you know, there's one bit when they get in a cab in Glasgow and they ask for somewhere in Edinburgh. That's a good 80 miles away. It's a very long cab ride, and everyone in Glasgow goes, "Ooh," because that's a long cab ride. But for the wider world, I think it's Scotland enough to convince people. But yeah, we do cheat it sometimes.
And it's Scotland, and it's the heart of the film is Scotland as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, Jane, I know we had a conversation yesterday where you were talking to me about how often Scottish theatre or art can be perceived as being a bit dour, a bit dour. But there's real heart to this piece, actually, isn't there? Even though, as you said, it's very gritty and it's very real.
Yeah, it's incredibly uplifting, and I mean, certainly when we were filming in Glasgow, I couldn't get over how friendly, just warm people were. It was just such a lovely city to work in, and I think that Sunshine on Leith is a real representation of what Scottish people are really like, it's nice to see something that's uplifting set in Scotland, because, you know, that I think despite the cold, there's a real great spirit there.
And they must have embraced you when they saw you shooting these exterior scenes, especially some of the numbers that we will preview in a moment. But they must have loved watching you work, Dexter.
Well, I mean, it was mutual, because we went into their city, and you kind of you take over a big square in the middle of Edinburgh, and it's, you know, for some people they might sort of their noses might be out of joint, but the people of Edinburgh ended up actually joining in, and, you know, we have a big dance number at the end in the square there, and we had 400 extras, but I'm sure at the end of the day we had 600 or 700, because people would just sort of stop and join in, which was great, and everyone stands around and watches it and enjoys the show, and that's great. You know, people just kind of, it brings a lot of really good energy to the film.
Well, actually, now you've mentioned that scene, I think maybe we should have a look at it, because this is one of my favourite scenes in the film, and it's one of the songs, I guess, that everybody's anticipating and waiting for. Sure. The big one of that. What is their biggest hit? Worldwide smash. I'm going to be 500 miles.
It's massive.
Peter Kay not involved in this version.
No, he's not. No, Peter Kay.
But have a look at this, because this is just sensational from Sunshine on Leith. How good is that? Wow, if there's one flash mob I would have wanted to be part of, it's that one. Dex, how complicated to film that?
Pretty complicated. I mean, we did have a lot of rehearsal. I mean, we had a bit of time with some of the extras, but a lot of the people learnt the dance on the day. It actually gets bigger and bigger from there. The dance, everyone starts to join in, and it becomes, everyone who's standing around watching in that other big shot that you see, all eventually join in, you know, the girl who's the statue and the big issue seller and the policeman, and, you know, everyone joins in. So we only had 3 days to shoot it, and on the first day we had to teach everybody the dance, which is obviously fairly stressful, but the choreographer was a great man, Arthur, and we worked hard and kept the energy and enthusiasm up, and it's a dance full of really good fun and smiles, and everybody's very happy, so that kind of obviously helps. But it's easy, anybody could do it.
Oh, of course, yeah. We'll have a go later. Jen, have a mention about your, obviously, amazing performance from Jane, but with Peter Mullen in this film. You've got wonderful chemistry with him. Tell me more about your character, because she goes on quite a journey in this film, doesn't she? It's quite an emotional roller coaster. What can you tell us?
Well, I suppose the start of the film for her character is the build-up for her silver wedding. So there's all great excitement about that, and then at the silver wedding she finds out something a little bit shocking about her husband and what he's been doing in the past. So,
quite devastating,
yes,
in fact.
Yes, and so it's her journey is really kind of dealing with that information and processing it and coming to terms with it, really, as well as all her family around her falling apart. So she's kind of the archetypal mum who's got a heart of gold, who's just trying to keep everything together.
You really do have to. I wondered on set, did you feel at times that you were that matriarchal figure off set, keeping everyone together, or was that
And
simply
keeping
with the camera?
Peter Mullen together, certainly.
She managed Peter Mullen for us. She wrangled Peter Mullen. I think it's interesting. Jane's character is a fascinating character. I think she's great. She is the centre of it, and she does. Her son's in the war, and her daughter's got big plans to travel the world, and her husband's had this, this past that comes back to haunt him and threaten their marriage, and she stays strong and fights all the way through it, and that's really a big part of the story. There's this woman at the centre of it who does everything she can to hold her family together in quite tough times, and it's the triumph of her and the strength of her winning out that I think is one of the big parts of the film that is really so positive and not easily done, not easily won. She's a tough character. She's getting it from all sides, and it's really great to see her.
Yeah, she's a big person. She's kind of, accepts her lot and thinks, well, I can either leave all this behind or I can just get on with it, and that's what she does.
Exactly. She has other options. It's not like Jean, is kind of. If she does decide to, not work things out with her husband, she does have other options.
Well, yes. In fact, let's have a look at this scene from the film. You're at work, Jean's at work, Jake, with your colleagues, and they want to give you some advice, basically.
Yes.
It's another fantastic scene. Have a look at this from Sunshine on Leith. How good is that? I want that every time I walk into a museum, Jane. I want to see that. That must be the fun one.
When you're feeling low.
But you also have some beautiful songs, a couple of solo numbers that showcase the Proclaimers at their finest, Jane, in this film. What was your favourite?
Well, I sing "Sunshine on Leith," and that is a beautiful song. It's known as the anthem for the Hibs, the Hibernians. So it was kind of strange singing a song that has such a male history to it, and I think that's beautiful because it's sung as a ballad, and it's in a hospital. Well, I won't give away the story, but it's kind of a very intimate scene, not at all like singing at a football match. So I think that is my favourite.
Look, I could ask you so many more questions, but look, let's put some questions to the floor. If you've got a question for Dexter or Jane, raise your hand. We've also got some questions, I know, from the Sunshine on Leith Twitter and Facebook feeds as well, which is good. So does anyone have a question for Dexter or Jane? Do raise your hand if you do. Yes, sir, at the back. Let's get the microphone to you.
What input, if any, was the Proclaimers into like the film? Did they go on set or have any input, or did they just leave it entirely up to you to do?
Well, I met them very early on, but because the stage musical had done so well, and they'd kind of just handed it over, their material really, to the writer and said, we don't know anything about writing plays or musicals, we know about writing songs, so you do what you have to do, and then we'll come and see it and tell you whether we like it or not. And that's what they did. They came and saw the show, and they loved that show. And with the film, they kind of did the same thing. They said, we don't know about making films, but you do, so you go and do what you need to do. And it's a huge responsibility for us, because there's 30 years of work there that these men have, produced, and it is very important. And what's really lovely is that they do love the film, and they came and visited the set just twice. They were busy touring. They're always touring, the Proclaimers, somewhere on the globe. They're trotting around. But there was a couple of days when they did turn up when we were in Leith, and they are actually in the film. So very early on in the second number, the second song, the Proclaimers appear. And if you know them, then you'll see them, and it's quite a lovely moment when they...
Great moment.
It's a great moment. Yeah. It is. It's a lovely little moment. And they come out of a pub, and it's quite funny and stuff. But they're very, very supportive, and I think and I hope that they're very proud. I think they are. Yeah. But they did say to me, you have carte blanche to do what you need to do. Just don't mess it up, which is, fair enough.
And Dexter, is it all right to say, even though you're behind the camera for this piece, as you were with Wild Bill, that you do make a cameo in this film?
I make a brief appearance in this film as well as a drunk, flatulent old man. So typecasting, really.
I didn't even know it was you until today.
I'm that much of a chameleon.
Look out for Dexter. Any more questions then? Yeah, down the front here. We'll just get the microphone to you. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Question for Dexter. Do you prefer directing or acting?
I don't know. I do like them both. I don't know which I prefer. I don't know. Yeah, they're different, aren't they? I'm really loving the directing at the moment because it's so new to me, and it's really exciting, and people tend to listen to me a bit more, which I quite like. When you're an actor, they're like, yeah, and then they're off. I do love acting, but I've seem to have this other opportunity at the moment, so I'm going to kind of pursue the directing for a while, unless some Spielberg phones me up and says, do you want to be in Jurassic Park 7? Then you'll see me in Jurassic Park 7, but no, but I do like the directing at the moment. I think it's just because it's so new and exciting.
And Jane, do you think it was a help for you and the rest of the cast having Dexter behind the camera as someone who has all that experience in front of the camera, who can empathise with what you as actors are doing and delivering?
Yeah, inevitably that is hugely helpful, particularly in the preparation time. And there was a lot of preparation time for this film. It was a huge luxury, actually, wasn't it? That we had did we have about 4 weeks rehearsal? And I think that's to get comfortable with each other and to work individually with Dexter. Certainly, me and Peter worked quite a lot individually with him, and that's very helpful rather than turning up on the first day and having to pretend that you're somebody's wife. And I think that comes really from somebody who has got an acting background and completely sympathises with that situation when it is all cold on the first day and you think, oh heck, I've got a bed scene.
So starting with the love scene, it's going to be really it's important to give the actors that space and time to connect. That's what this is very important. So yeah, it was a luxury though.
So any more? We haven't got long, but yes, another question here, and then I know we're going to go to social media for some questions from the Sunshine on Leith Facebook and Twitter feed.
Is there a Facebook page for Sunshine? Is there?
Yes. Thanks.
Wow. I mean, I knew that.
Like it, Dexter, like it.
I like it. I should like it.
Right.
Like it, really. I would like it. Yes, like it. Sorry.
Hi,
Hello.
this is a question for Dexter as well. I was just wondering, what was your toughest scene to film and why?
There's a scene. There's a scene on Carlton Hill, which is there's a song called Misty Blue, and I wanted to shoot it all in one shot, where this young couple, Davey and Yvonne, they sing a song to each other, and it's really the moment where they're kind of falling for one another. And I wanted to shoot it all in one continuous long shot, and the city of Edinburgh's down behind them, and they sing this really beautiful song, and they walk and they sing and they walk and sing, and then they kiss at the end of it, and it's quite long, and I wanted to do it all in one. We had a big long track, and it looked really beautiful. We did rehearsal, and it really works well. It's like, okay, everybody, coats off, let's get going, let's film it. And of course, as soon as the coats come off, the actors are suddenly on a cold hill in November in Edinburgh. So poor Antonia is got like a little scarf and a hat and a jacket, and she's absolutely frozen. So and I'm like, oh, and that's really bad news, because they're meant to be gazing lovingly into each other's eyes and singing about how wonderful they feel, and they were very cold, and so that was difficult because there's so many other elements that go into it. You sort of do all this planning, and there's the one thing you don't think of is the thing that kind of can cause a problem. But I think that it's a real achievement though when you manage to do it. So I'm pleased with that, but at the same time it's very hard. And there was another time when Antonia was filming a big song and she had food poisoning the night before. The producer took her out and gave her oysters, and she had food poisoning the next day.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, what?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know the one where they sing in front of the big window?
Yes.
In front, looking out over Edinburgh. She'd had food poisoning and had like 2 hours sleep. And been up all night puking up and God knows what. And
That's not going to be in the DVD, is it?
You never know.
you never know. She looks radiant and
Yes.
fantastic and sings beautifully. I mean, there's always these things that throw us up. But
Sometimes those moments really help too, when you think, oh goodness, I feel so bad, and you think, well, it really works well for the scene because of the state that they were in emotionally as characters at that time. It's probably very helpful for us.
it's true. It's a really good moment for them because they've had this big argument and they're trying to figure it out. So it's all hard though.
I love all these revelations and exclusives.
Yeah, they
I think
are
we can maybe
exclusive.
jump
They are
to about one
exclusive.
question
I
there, and
don't
then we're going to
know.
go to the Twitter and Facebook questions as well. So we have a question here.
I've got a question for each of you. Jane, with such a fantastic, strong accent that you have got, how easy was it to get into the Scottish accent, and did you have any problems with it?
Well, I'd done a short Scottish film before, set in Glasgow years ago. So I'd done it. I had done a Scottish accent, but my son's maths teacher comes from Leith, and amazingly, and so I spoke to her initially about the accent, and she was hugely helpful, and then I did actually speak to a professional dialect coach. And that was all helpful. Plus the fact that we were filming in Scotland, so I was surrounded by Scottish people. It wasn't so bad actually.
And Dexter, I see Jason's in your film again.
He is.
How easy was it to get him to sing a song?
Surprisingly easy, actually.
He loved it.
He did. He loved it. Yeah. Because as you're alluding, he's in both of my films. He's a real old friend, and like I was saying earlier, I wanted to create other possibilities for Jane's character. That, you know, if her marriage was possibly breaking down, that there was someone. The whole thing is that Jason's character's in love with Jane, and he's always loved Jean, and I think once he got his head around the fact that I was like, Jason, you're doing this, and you're singing and you're dancing. He goes for it brilliantly. If you get a chance to see the film, that scene just gets better and better. He really goes for it by the end, and I can't see it without laughing. It just absolutely cracks me up every time. He's brilliant. He brings so much, Jason. And the reason why I wanted him, because lots of people have seen Jason in various different guises. You know, the red guy in X-Men who's very nasty, and, you know, from hell, and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and everything. But we never really get to see Jason. He's got such a fun side to him. He's such a lovely, warm man, and I thought this was a good chance for him to show that. And he does it. It's brilliant what he does.
It works so well in the film as well. All right, some questions from Twitter and from Facebook. I think we have a mic coming forward for Jess.
Can Twitter speak it now? Can it? It speaks itself. Does it?
Touch on the Leith.
Hello, this is Twitter.
And Facebook. It's there.
Hello, this is Twitter. Hello, Twitter.
So
I can't hear anything. Oh, hello.
This is from
Here's Twitter.
Vicky on Vicky Byron on Facebook. So she says, "What films inspired you to make this film?" She sees it as a cross between Love Actually and Mamma Mia. Were they an inspiration?
Mamma Mia and Love Actually were absolutely the inspiration. I suppose they maybe were. Certainly, Love Actually is a good one. I like to think of it more of a kind of 50s musical, sort of something like a bit like Singing in the Rain or Anchors Away. These kind of more traditional musicals about guys coming home and stuff. That's what I'd really love to do. But I don't know. I mean, I suppose there's a comparison with Mamma Mia because, you know, it's a back catalogue of a group. But I can't say I went and watched it a lot. I went and watched like Moulin Rouge and, you know, stuff a bit older than that.
Okay, Dan, we have a Twitter question.
Yeah, just one more question.
Is there a difference?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, okay.
Yeah.
So this is sort of been answered by Dexter. So for Jane, were you a fan of the Proclaimers hits before you got the role in this film?
Well, I think similar to Dexter, really, I wasn't a fanatic. I knew the most popular songs, 500 Miles and Letter to America, but I actually didn't know anything else about their back catalogue. So it was a real revelation when I was sent the script and the CD of their music. I loved them, and yes, indeed, I am a fan now. Possibly not a fanatic, but a fan in the small sense.
Yeah, me too.
We'll test you both later, by the way, on their career and sales and the whole thing, because I think everyone's going to fall in love. And I want to say about this film as well, opening this weekend, is the fact that what I love watching it, Dexter and Jane, is that cliche to use this phrase, it is an emotional roller coaster. I did laugh a lot, but I did have to sit in my seat at the end and have a little bit of a weep. That's going on in this movie as well, which I guess you must be excited that audiences will be taken on that journey. So, Jane, a couple of final questions to you first. What do you hope audiences get from this film? What do you hope what's the message here?
Well, as Dexter said, that they can relate to it. It's a universal subject matter: families, love, falling in and out of love. But ultimately, it's a very happy ending and a very optimistic ending that things do work out in the end. And I mean, it couldn't be anything other than that in a musical. But it does have a very warm feel to it. This film.
And it's so obvious listening to you today, Dexter, that you are ridiculously proud about this baby and this film.
Yeah, of course. I can't not be. I mean, I am, because I think it does do what you say, and to hear you say, I laughed, I cried, I felt great at the end. I mean, it's humble in its ambition, but it's just a feel-good film, and it's an easy thing to say, but it's a hard thing to achieve, and it's really nice for me to sit and watch people when songs start up, people just naturally smile for some reason. There's just like, oh, that's nice, and that's a really gratifying, lovely thing, because that's all it achieves to do is just. There's lots of films you can go and see where things are going to blow up or people are going to get shot, or there's all that sort of stuff going. You can go and see that and come out feeling like, oh my God, isn't life awful? But this is just a film to make you think, oh yeah, everything's really good. I think I'll go and have a nice meal.
I have to say, courtesy of some of your
meal.
incredible... Can we get that meal now? Some incredible exterior shots, a sweeping camera motions that you just want to go to Edinburgh like now. That's what I also felt watching this film. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, that would be great if people wanted to go and visit Scotland as a result of that. I think it is a great place, and there's a lot of great people there, and a lot of great culture, and a lot of great scenery. It's easy to fall in love with and get carried away with it, but hopefully the film shows that and people are inspired to go there.
Jane Horrocks, what is next for you? Although I do know, I'm right in saying this is a big week. Not only is the film opening on Friday, but you have a song being released on iTunes on Friday.
That's right.
So it's a big Friday is a big day for you.
Right.
Round of applause for that, because Jane has a record coming out. Tell us more. This is a Joy Division record.
Yes, it's Isolation by Joy Division. Yes, you've said it all. It's on Friday.
I did the plug for you. It's there.
It's out on Friday as well.
Yes,
What, the 4th of October, Friday?
Friday,
On
the
iTunes.
same as the film is.
What, this Friday? The 4th of October? That's the same day as our film opens. That's Friday, the 4th of October.
Well, listen, continued success to both of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think,
Thanks, Kevin.
I hope I've said it. I'm going to say it again. Sunshine on Leith is one of my favourite films of the year. It's an ultimately fantastic film. Go see it this weekend. Thank you to director Dexter Fletcher and to acclaimed actress Jane Horrocks. Thanks, guys, for being here at the Apple Store in London. I'm Kevin Hughes. I'll see you very soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.